Nkwa, and welcome to episode 312 of Konnakol 2020, the video series in which every day of the year of 2020 I show you something about Konnakol, that is the wonderful vocal percussion tradition of South India. I am Carlitos from Slovenia, and today is the 7th of November. And today I am very happy to introduce a new mini-series of 5 episodes in which we will explore a topic that was let's say there's a topic that is very close to my heart because it's something that I developed myself, which is Thadhikinathom extensions. And that means that we will explore in this mini-series ways of extending the canonical phrase for 5 beats, Thadhikinathom, but without altering its general shape. So it will still be a Thadhikinathom, but we're gonna extend it in some interesting ways. By now we should all be familiar with the phrase Thadhikinathom, 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 which is, 3 5s. 1 5 is Thadhikinathom. It is the most simple tirmanam out there and also the beginning of many compositions. But today we're not talking about beginnings, we're talking about endings. And by that I mean that we normally use Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom as the end of one composition, since it is a tirmanam, and tirmanam is a very effective way of finishing one composition. So, Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom is a phrase of 15 aksharas, and normally when we perform it within a cycle of aditalam in a subdivision of 4, then we have to start this phrase after 17 beats. And I explained that in detail back in episode 5 of this series of January the 5th, so many moons ago. A very common variant of Thadhikinathom, this phrase for 5 beats, is Thadhikinathom. That means that the first 4 parts, ta, di, ki, and na, last 2 aksharas, and the last one lasts 1. So this turns into a phrase for 9 beats in total. And if we want to use that phrase repeated 3 times to end a cycle of aditalam, then we need to count off only 5 beats. And again, I explain all about this particular way of ending this cycle of aditalam in episode 9 of this series. And you might also remember that many episodes ago, actually it's episode 4, I showed you how to perform this phrase for 9 in 5 different ways. You can always go and check that episode. Because today we're talking about Thadhikinathom extensions, not about ways of performing a phrase for 9. So let's consider then the relationship between these 2 phrases. In the first phrase, all the components or the syllables last 1 akshara. That is why it's a phrase for 5, Thadhikinathom. Whereas in the second phrase, the 4 initial syllables last 2, so it's Thadhikinathom. With that in mind, then we could rewrite the second phrase to look like this. I use the vertical bar notation to express this very common extension of syllables that we have in Konnakol, right? So what this means is that the ta, di, ki, na, all of them are going to last 2 aksharas. And then after that we have a normal tone. So this is a shorthand way of expressing the phrase for 9. And with that in mind, we could rewrite both phrases to look like this. The first one is a bit kludgy, to be honest, but you'll see what I mean. So when I realized this, that was last summer when my wife and I went to a few days of holiday, I realized, okay, this is an interesting series that we could develop, right? What would happen if I would continue these extensions, extending the ta, di, ki, na, to last more than just 2, but 3, 4, 5 perhaps. What would I get from that? And that is what I'm presenting you today, which is all the different ways that you can perform these beats, this Thadhikinathom, with different types of extensions, and how you can use them to in your own compositions, right? These are very effective tirmanams that we will see in today's and the next 4 episodes. This table shows the fruits of my research. All these 10 ways in which we can extend the phrase Thadhikinathom. The first 2 is what I just explained, but let me walk you through a bit because we have 3 columns, right? Well, the first column is what is the variant, what's the variance shape, which is in the first two is what I just explained. So Thadhikinathom and then Thadhikinathom. But we also have two other columns, L1 and L3. L1 stands for the length of one time that you perform this, while L3 means the length when you perform this phrase 3 times. Very logical, right? But this will help. You'll see why. What we can see when we go down in the table, you can see that the number after the vertical bar increases by 1, so from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 all the way to 10. The value for L1 increases by 4, and the value for L3, unsurprisingly, increases by 12. So this will give you a greater grasp of how all of this is related. But I also wanted to show you another interesting bit of information, which is, okay, this is all very nice, but how do I use it? So the last column shows you after how many fingers in Aditalam and after how many aksharas you must start for it, that particular phrase, to be repeated 3 times and land you on the first beat of Aditalam, or the samam, is it called. This is a quick way of telling you how we're going to practice all this, which is what I want to do before I go. Now I'm going to show you the first 2 in this table, how to perform them within a cycle or cycles of Aditalam. And tomorrow we're going to take a look at 2 more and so on until we complete the whole table. So here it is, the first extension of Thadhikinathom, that it has a length of 5 and a length times 3 of 15. And as always, the filler beats are in green. That is the standard we've been using in the series. So here we go. Taka dimi taka junu, taka dimi taka junu, Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom de. So yes, in essence, that was exactly the same Tirmanan that I showed you back in episode 5. But now you know what's the background behind it. And now the second extension, which has an L1 value of 9 and a L3 value of 27. Takadimi Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom, Thadhikinathom de. And yes, it's true, I have already showed you this back in episode 9, but now you have the theoretical background, or I have the theoretical background to know what I was doing. So that's all for today, a bit more theoretical episode. Tomorrow we're gonna dive straight into the practice aspect of this. We're gonna practice a few times because some of these, let me tell you, some of these extensions can be quite hard. But we'll see that tomorrow. Let me know what you think by leaving me a message using the Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comment boxes, or by sending me a message via my socials displayed here, because I like feedback. Who doesn't? And that's all from me today. I have been Carlitos from Slovenia. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.